Hi everyone, my name is Brittany Mayers, and for my EDSE 619 presentation, I will be talking to you about Dr. Betty Hart. She is a psychologist and also a researcher. Now, before we jump in, I want to go over a couple of things that we're going to be able to check out. You're going to get to be able to see who Betty Hart was, a couple of articles and other materials that she has written, why she was so important to this ABA field, and my favorite, a couple of interview questions. If I were to meet Betty Hart in person, what exactly would I ask her? All right, let's jump right in. So the first question is, who is Betty Hart? Well, she was born on July 15th, 1927, and unfortunately she passed away due to lung cancer on September 28th, 2012. She did graduate from the University of Kansas, where she met one of her colleagues, Dr. Todd R. Risley. Now, you will see a lot of him inside of her work, especially in a couple of books or articles that she has written. So stay tuned for that. The first book that she's written is called Meaningful Differences in the Everyday Experience of Young American Children. This is where her and Risley are able to answer the question to why there is such a huge gap in children's academics. What's holding them back? Another book that they wrote was The Social World of Children Learning to Talk. Of course, learning language can be learned on how you communicate with your child. But both of them are able to communicate about why that is so important, why that is such a big deal. Now we know that Betty Hart was known for language and learning language and how language is developed, but she was also known for observing poor children overcome speech and vocabulary deficits. Let's jump into some of her articles. So I was able to check out a few. One was called The Early Catastrophe, the 30 million word gap by age 3. This talks about the academic growth gap. What is the disconnect? How are we able to fix it? The environmental setting. Where does this child live? Who's surrounding this child at all times? And of course, understanding the whole child in itself. Then we have another article called The Incidental Teaching of Language in Preschool, which talks about the term incidental teaching, which is how learning is based on a natural environment and how they use the child's interest to motivate them naturally. Another article is called The Effects of Social Reinforcement on Isolate Behavior of a Nursery School Child. Both Todd and Dr. Hart are able to observe a young little girl interact with her peers and adults and see how she is able to develop language. The last article that I'm able to check out was the longitudinal study of interactive systems, which involves home observations and unstructured activities that they were able to see how the children are able to develop language. Now, of course, in the top right-hand corner, you will see an image of Dr. Betty Hart, but then, like I said before, Todd R. Risley was also throughout a lot of her work. So you'll also see him there in the corner as well. Now the question is, why is she so important to the field of ABA? Well, she's a researcher. She's researched a lot for us over the years. And then we also know that she's developed a lot of teaching strategies where she's developed for incidental language based off her observations and then also promoting learning. So this is something that's really great for her. Then we also have language development. Of course, language is very important to Dr. Betty Hart, but she's using the interactions that families have and how that helps the child develop language. And then, of course, understanding the word gap. Of course, there's a gap in our academics, but the question is why? Is it because of how parents are raised or how parents are their working status, whether they're poor or working class or even professional parents? Or the environmental setting? Is it a low-income household? Which one is it? Then also, we She's able to help us develop a deeper understanding on why language is so important to society, and it allows people to look at it in a different light. Now I'm going to jump into my favorite, which are the interview questions. I've developed 5. So if I had the opportunity to meet with Dr. Betty Hart, these are the 5 questions that I would ask her. Number 1, when you were a teacher, what grade did you teach and where? If you look at the image below, it says that there's a picture here, and it says that Dr. Hart was teaching at a preschool in Kansas City. I'm interested to know what age group this was. I know she works with a lot of young kids in preschool, so I'm wondering if is this where she started, or was she just someone there observing? Number 2, when you conducted your study, how many of those students had a learning disability? Of course, with us learning about disabilities in the class, I'm interested to know, were there any type of differences that she saw based on language and how they developed based off socioeconomic status, or how the child was able to develop in their home environmental setting? Number 3, did you see a difference in the behavior based on the socioeconomic status of the child and their families? Number 4, would you want to write a book on the best parenting practices for all families, no matter their socioeconomic status, so that they have a jump start on how to support their child at a very young age? Now, I know that was a mouthful, but this is one of my most interesting questions, because I feel like if she knows how to jumpstart students, what is it called, their language development, then that would be a great start for parents to read about and get started on it. Like, this would be perfect. So I want to know her thoughts. And then number 5, do you believe your research made a difference in society? This is something like a personal question. I think she has, but what's something, I want to know what she thinks. Does she feel like she did enough? Or do you think that, maybe she wants to do a little bit more in order to impact society? What are her thoughts? But that's basically everything. My last slide is just the reference page, where you're able to check out a couple of links, and just check out a couple of her readings and articles as well, where I got my information. I hope you enjoy, and thank you so much for watching. Have a great one. Bye-bye.